Bonjour tout le monde. C'est la deuxième fois que je suis à Brest et la première fois j'étais le seul étranger. I didn't mix my languages, but this is the second time I am in Brest. And the first conference was almost exactly 25 years ago. It was called LO, don't pronounce this in English. And it stood for Langage Orientés Objets, which means object-oriented language. And it was organized in the town hall. That was actually the first object-oriented conference in Europe. And I was a student at University of Dortmund by then, or working there initially, and I got sent there. And it turned out that the entire conference was in French, and they were speaking very fast, and I couldn't understand them. Okay, this time I have been asked to give the presentation, and Nuri was so kind to set the title. I'm speaking in a very special role today, which is not my day job. I'm speaking in the name of Smalltalk Industry Council. We are not the competitor of ESUG. We are friends of ESUG and sponsors of ESUG. It is a society like ESUG. And many of you are members in both organizations. And we have been organizing Smalltalk solutions in the United States for many years, and in Canada. In our organization, there are the vendors who founded it 15 years ago. By then, they were other vendors than they are today. The members today are Syncom Systems, Instantiations, and Gemstone. These are the board members, and by election, I am also a board member, being the executive director of that organization. We have a treasurer from Geniac Software, and one additional sponsor, which is Precision Software. I want to talk about the question, is Smalltalk hot today? And I went back in time and looked at the oldest presentation about the oldest mentioning of Smalltalk in literature, which is really a broad audience. And it is not the famous Byte Magazine it is not the famous Byte Magazine with the balloon. Many of you have seen my car outside that has that balloon, so everybody can see that Smalltalk is going on here. That's why I brought the car for 1,500 something kilometers, or 1,000 miles for the American friends. And that's the Byte Magazine of August 81, which really is about Smalltalk. Go 3 years back and you find a special issue about Pascal. That's why the Pascal triangle is there. And the Pascal triangle is really calm, while the outside is really rough. And one of the places on the outside was the Isle of Smalltalk, 2 words. You see this up there. And yesterday, as we came by car, we saw the Isle of Smalltalk. And it's really a tourist attraction. It's called Mont Saint-Michel. And we took the detour from the highway and went down to the coast that stood by the many recreation vehicles around there. It's really tourist attraction. And you can ask yourself, is Smalltalk a tourist attraction? Maybe. So let's look what was said about Smalltalk in that magazine, because it's mentioned on the cover. And Richard Helmers, who was the editor in those days, said, traveling upward in the picture towards the heavy seas, we come to the pinnacle, a snow-white island rising like an ivory tower out of the surrounding shark-infested waters. Here we find the fantastic kingdom of Smalltalk, where great and magical things happen. Those who know the quote will know that it goes on with that craggy aloofness keeps out strangers. something like that. But I don't want to speak about that part. I spoke about this in another presentation. And now I want to analyze what's said in here. Magical things happen. Great, we all believe, but magical? What's magical about Smalltalk? Some of you have seen this picture certainly before. It shows the idea how Smalltalk programmers think. They take the real world, which, where do I need to press? The little button? Okay. They take the real world. They take people who know everything about the real world serious. We call this sometimes the professional ignorance. We take other people serious. The shipping people, the business people, the historians. We take their concept and thinking and just map it into software. That's all we do. And our idea or our approach is this one-to-one. We try to understand how they are thinking and just map it. And we found the flaws in their theories, of course we do. And there are always flaws. And the process in here is very interesting, and we could speak for a long time about this picture. I did this many, many times. It has a lot to do with how fantastic Smalltalk is. One of the most interesting parts is this down arrow down here. The down arrow says, I, as the Smalltalk programmer, create my virtual world. And that's an empowerment. I create my world. So we have to do it right, of course. What I would consider magical is the way the other people do. They take the computer serious, and they know that computer consists of two components, memory and CPU. That's why computers are so expensive. They cost 55 euros, high speed. We just had to buy one because one broke. And so they take processes to feed the CPU. They take states to feed the memory. They transfer this to data structure and procedures, use a program called Link, LD or whatever they call it. They get out a running program and end up in this. And beforehand, they use strange glasses where they don't see the reality the way it is, or other people see it. I call this magical thinking, but that's the way which got introduced in the 50s when computers were really expensive. I don't remember the 50s, I was a baby by then, and I didn't buy computers being a baby. But when I became a student in 72, 73 time frame, a 386 computer with very, very few memory, half a megabyte, would cost about 20 million marks, which is about 10 million euros today, and 11% VAT. And so it was rented by the second, and the second was 50 cents, euro cents. So you could either use a computer for an hour, which is 3,600 marks on it, 1,800 euros, or buy God, or buy or rent a programmer for a month. And suddenly it was cheaper to buy programmer time than computer time. And that's the way this got created. Now let's speak about what can we do if we do it right. Last year I was speaking about how we were searching for the Bach house. That's the place where Johann Sebastian Bach lived in Köthen, and we found it by modeling the knowledge at Smalltalk. That was an open problem for 130 years. And these are the two buildings. Those who were at ESUG 5 years ago passed by without knowing, because the project wasn't run in those days. That's about the place where Julien Bourdon was a student volunteer in those days, and some of them know them already. met a girl walking up to him and he said, "Je t'aime." That's about the place. And the other one is close to the place where we had the jazz dinner. What did we do? Or actually, what did Carsten do, who will speak on Wednesday? He took all the literature and all the data in history, all the historical data, and put it into a Gemstones visual works system, and made it accessible and visible, and the researchers, the historian, could see what did everybody say and what do the data say, the text data. And it turned out that Bach could only have lived in 2 buildings. We modeled the information in a visible and understandable way. Actually, this is not the accurate building. This is a more modern building, built for the 20th anniversary of the GDR. Another example, and Carsten will speak about it, is Seabreeze. What's about Seabreeze? The idea behind Seabreeze is simple. So if you look at web applications consider HTML as something they have to care about. The early web applications take HTML as a sequence of characters. Seaside is much better. It takes HTML as a sequence of method sets. Is it better? Not really. The next step is to take HTML as objects, and suddenly things become easy. Details on Wednesday. Or look at the new Syncom product. I was asked to speak about is Smalltalk hot? The developing companies and volunteer organizations come out with new products. And one of them is Web Velocity. And I just got the first CD, and I've asked, will others be able to get it also? Is it just something for me? And I was answered, Syncom just told me, no, that will be available later in the week for everybody of you who is interested in Web Velocity. And Web Velocity is a way, actually it's a better Ruby on Rails, to say it in short words. You may have heard of that beforehand. It's taking the way you can program on the web to the web. Or look at new Gemstone products. Glass, made available, already presented 1 year or 2 ago. Or the new VA version, 8, which comes with Seaside. Or the new Squeak versions which are coming out. I just went down over the weekend through the website. Or a new commercial system called DNG, Dolphin Next Generation, by a company in Berlin together with the people from Dolphin. Or, you mentioned it already before, Stefan, Faro. Oh, Faro? Faro. It's the O is the big one, so it's Faro. The new open source Smalltalk. Better than any before. So, there's a lot of movement into it, and it's all about the same spirit. Everything is an object. That's the simple story. Just take the existing world serious and make it happen in software. There was once, earlier this year, a presentation by Robert Martin, What Killed Smalltalk Could Kill Robo 2. That you can go to the web and look at it. He's throwing out interesting pieces of paper throughout his presentation. And his core argument is, it is so easy to, it's math with A, to make a mess in Smalltalk. And I consider this wrong. The argument is wrong completely. It is so easy to recognize that there is a mess in Smalltalk. If you try to find a mess with A. No, is this right or wrong? It's right. Okay, sorry. So, mess with E. So, as it is. It's so easy to recognize that we have a mass made in Smalltalk compared to any other technology. And that's why Robert Martin thinks there are so many. There are far less than anywhere else, but on the other places, you just don't recognize that there is a business. Try to do it in an assembly program, in a C program, in a Ruby program, or in Java. You won't see it. But if you remember the picture I showed earlier, where you have this one-to-one relationship between a concept and classes, that runs backward. So you take the class and create the concept and find out, oh shit. If you do it with the data structures and procedures and run them backwards, okay. You have different information. Yeah, that's how it is. No big deal. That's why the year 2000 problem was there 10 years ago. There are more arguments against it. Go to James Robertson's blog. Is James here? Yeah.
I did respond to his talk, yes.
Yeah. Go to his blog and read all James' comments or listen to industry misinterpretations, the most famous broadcasting about Smalltalk, and you will find all the other arguments about that presentation. In German we say, totgesagte leben länger. That means in English, there's still life in the old dog. Let's see what the life is in this old dog. But there's one more good thing, that is, there is nothing like bad press. So every press is good press. So I don't want to argue with, he actually spelled Smalltalk right. And he pronounced it correctly. So what's wrong with the story? The next slides I'm going to, as this presentation is Smalltalk is hot, and the title came from our friend from Vilna, Stefan. The other slides came from a presentation I gave earlier from our American friends, and it is about yes, we can. When I first said I should, interesting, me being from Europe, should speak about a statement called Yes We Can, and the first thing I remembered was the song by Bob the Builder. Can we fix it? Yes, we can. I don't want to bring it to you, it's on the web, so all of you who have Macintoshes or other technology can just Google for Bob the Builder and Yes We Can, and you can put on your earphones, don't do it aloud here, and play that song. It is about empowerment for kids. Yes, we can. British teaching. The other one is Thomas the Tank Engine. Be useful. There's this other song. If you browse for it, and you get this one, Yes We Can, which comes from a presentation Obama gave in New Hampshire during his pre-election campaign. I don't want to play that song either. And so speaking about Yes We Can, I went to the original speech. And there are pictures and also YouTube on that thing. And what you see is no sign shows Yes We Can. They all say change. There are different ways of change. Yes, we can believe in or stand for change. But change we can believe in is not a phrase you can easily speak. So this picture reminded me. So that was the campaign before Yes We Can became the campaign. And this picture reminded me of, this is the other one, from the same New Hampshire convention, of my teacup. This teacup has Smalltalk 80 on here, and it has Design for Change over there. And this logo is the second Park Place logo. So it must be 19 years old or so, around 1990. And it promotes ObjectWorks, which is the predecessor of VisualWorks. And by then, the marketing campaign of Smalltalk was Design for Change. So there is this correlation between prepare for change, do a change, and both in the Obama campaign and in Smalltalk. So I tried to find out what's in common. My teapot is. And that was originally filled with beer, by the way, not with anything else. So, change happens. Like, these are no up-to-date pictures, but that was done when I did the presentation for the first time. Klinsmann and the swine flu are those pictures. Klinsmann got fired as coach of Bayern München, and it came up in CNN as a headline. So they're both pictures taken from CNN. But what is change about? Change is the unforeseeable, the surprise. And prepare for the surprise, or do the surprise, or do the unforeseeable. That's all what change is about.